Hello, everyone. This is Cynthia Mazzaferro with Powerful Beyond Measure, and I am delighted to have another wonderful author. His name is Brian Wright. How are you, Brian?
I'm great. How are you?
Great. Good to have you here today.
Yes, me too. Thank you.
Well, Brian is the host of Success Profiles radio show, publisher of Success Profiles magazine, and ghost writes books for clients, and also an author of 3 books. Over the last 6 years, Brian has interviewed world-class achievers such as Darren Hardy, Jack Canfield, Laurel Langmuir, Kevin Harrington, Sharon Lecter, and many, many more. With the lessons he has learned from these achievers and through his own experience, he seeks to educate, motivate, and inspire others to become a great version of themselves. He is the author of 3 books, including the book that just was released a few weeks ago, Success Profiles, Conversations with High Achievers. Congratulations on your newest book, Brian.
Thanks. Thank you so much.
Do you want to show everyone a copy of your book before we get into the questions?
Sure. It looks like this.
Yeah.
And it's available in Barnes & Noble and also on Amazon. If you just search Conversations with High Achievers, or if you look for Brian K Wright, it should pop up first.
Awesome. It's great. And so excited to talk about this with you today. I think it's a great topic. I actually, with my book, Powerful Beyond Measure, talk about how do we get to this newer version of ourselves? How do we see, first, that we have the potential, and how do we achieve it? And so I'm really looking forward to hearing what you've learned in your experience, as well as from these really world-renowned achievers, as you refer to them as.
Yeah.
So what caused you to want to write this book?
It's a great question. I have had so much great material from my radio show, Success Profiles Radio. I thought it would be a really great idea to repurpose it somehow. And I read a book many years ago called Conversations with Millionaires by Mike Littman and Jason Oman. And they interviewed some really high-achieving, world-class people. And it was a really fantastic read. And I thought I could probably do a book like this someday if I had a chance to interview many of my mentors and heroes as well. It took a while to build up to being able to do that because a lot of people want to know that you have a track record first before they'll agree to do a show with you. And so it took a while, but Morgan James happily took a chance on me. And they said they've read interview books like this before. A lot of them just aren't very good, but they said you did a really, really great job of editing yours. And we love who's in it. We love your work ethic, and we will gladly work with you. And so I was very happy to jump on with Morgan James, and they've been great.
They have been great. They're also my publisher. They're wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're looking for a publisher, we encourage you to reach out to Morgan James Publishing Company, and David Hancock, the owner, will be happy to speak with you and discuss acquisition of your manuscript. So that's really great. So what I'd love to know is, what are some of the main reasons that you have found that people do not thrive in life? What's holding us back from achieving that greatness that we all seek?
I think one thing is that people tend to have self-limiting beliefs around what they think they can achieve. They don't really think they can. They want to achieve great things, but they think, well, other people can do it, but I can't. Or they might have built up some story about why they can't. Maybe someone else told them they can't, and maybe they are choosing to believe that story instead of the one they should be believing. I also think that people just don't take enough action. They just don't. They don't realize how much work it takes to achieve something really wonderful. We live in such an instant gratification society. And even if you look at someone who apparently achieved something overnight, what you aren't seeing is the 10, 15, 20 years of hard work for them to learn what they are doing and to make all the mistakes. You don't see that in the spotlight. You only see their brilliance. You don't see everything that went on in the gym, in the classroom, in the laboratory, or whatever the forum or venue happens to be. So there is no overnight success, and you have to be willing to think big. You need to be willing to act big, and you need to be able to sacrifice big in many cases. And people just aren't willing to do that. They put limitations on what they are willing to sacrifice. I will do this, but I will not do that. Well, if you're not willing to do everything it takes, then you won't. But here's the kick. And Brian Tracy says this: if you are willing to do everything it takes, you're not going to have to do everything it takes because you'll get there before then.
That's right. So just to reiterate, you've talked about our thoughts, our self-limiting thoughts, our
Yep.
belief system. What do we believe is possible for ourselves?
Yeah.
And a lot of that is we don't see our future as really attainable, nor do we then go into the last one that you talked about is the action steps that require us to get to that place. And
Right.
I think you're right. Many people procrastinate because their belief system is such that no matter if they try it, the mind's still reminding you of your failures. So why bother if you're going to end up having the same result and you're going to fail or not achieve the success that you really want. So
Right.
our mind is really a powerful negative tool that really is always standing in our way of
Yeah.
achieving the success.
Yeah, it is. Absolutely, for sure.
Yeah. So I love that those are three that I think are very spot on. So wonderful. So what are some of the ways you feel that can shift people to be successful? You started to get into a little bit at the end there about taking action. So, you've talked to so many different people. You probably have attended many of the people you spoke to their seminars.
Hmm.
What are, 2, 3, 4, whatever you think is appropriate as actual tools that people need to use to implement to
I think,
create success?
yeah, that's a really great question. Leveling up your connections, I think, is where it has to start because as Charlie Tremendous Jones and Jim Rohn have said, you're the average of the 5 people that you hang out with the most. If you're looking to have a successful business, then hang around 5 people who have successful business. If you're looking to get in great shape, then hang around 5 people who are in great shape and practice good fitness and nutrition habits. If you want that and you hang around 5 fat slobs, well, guess what? You're not going to get anywhere very fast.
Mm-hmm.
So leveling up your connections is certainly one of the things that you can do to do that. And I did allude to this a little bit ago. Have big, massive, scary dreams. If people aren't laughing at your dreams, they're not big enough. The Wright brothers, no relation. When they came up with the airplane, no one thought that man should fly. That was something that literally was for the birds. When Henry Ford put together his V8 engine, no one thought that was possible. Even the people who are working for him, but he insisted on it and he was willing to pay them until they did it. If he would have asked people what they wanted, they would have said, we want a faster horse. And none of us would be driving cars, at least not in the form that they are in now, I wouldn't imagine. But you have to be willing and able to dream big and take massive action. And I think that's just so important. But leveling up your connections, I think, is really the first thing, because if you are around people who think big, then you can't help but expand. Once your mind has expanded, it cannot go back to its original dimensions.
Mm-hmm. Love that.
Yeah.
And a lot of times we've all come up with ideas and we've shared our ideas with people, and we call them the discouragement group, and they all say, oh, all the reasons why you shouldn't do that. Oh, you don't have the time, you don't have the knowledge, you don't have the resources, you don't have the money. Oh, nobody wants it, So I think having a group of people that are similar in your concept, your ideas, or just even the belief system that everything is potentially out there and available to you with hard work, determination, that you can succeed. And I think that is very important. That's why there's life coaches, there's motivational speakers that will encourage you, and books like ourselves that help promote success through your belief system and how you have to change it and shift that.
Yeah. I mean, if you're looking to start a business, why are you listening to your 5 friends who are broke and still stuck on a job? And there's nothing wrong with having a job, but shouldn't you be asking people who have done the thing that you want to do?
Right.
It just makes sense to me. I mean, people, you say, I want to go to this seminar where I can learn how to manage my money better. Oh, they're just trying to rip you off. They're charging you thousands of dollars. This is something you can figure out yourself. Really? Well, have you figured it out yourself? No. Why? I mean, why, if you want to, like, another example, if you want to go to a stockbroker or a financial manager, why on earth would you use someone who's making less money than you? But I mean, not to disparage people who are just getting started in any industry, but if you have money to manage, why trust your position to someone who isn't doing as well as you are in life? I would only take advice and follow advice from people who have advanced farther than me in the area that I'm seeking advice about.
Right. And it really changes the way you kind of fertilize your progress forward, your action steps. When you're with people that are say, hey, this worked really well when I used this campaign or this project or these people, then all of a sudden you have resources and different ways to implement in your action steps to get similar desirable results. So I encourage people often say, if you have an idea, maybe not tell everybody, keep it a secret, but tell people who are supportive, that are going to facilitate and promote and support your venture in some way. And like you're saying, find the right resources of people that are talented and not, opposite what you're trying to go towards, if you will.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
Exactly.
right.
You have to know who your cheerleaders are in life and who they're not, and don't share your stuff with people who are not going to support you. You are not required to explain your journey to someone who's not committed to understanding it.
Right. And, I've been watching Shark Tank a lot. I love that show.
Yeah.
And, these are people, the spirit of America, everything's possible, and dreaming big. And once you're in the right platform, the right scenario, the stage, and literally it's a stage and you're trying to sell yourself, you have to believe in your product. You have to believe in your vision. And then that allows you to create the dynamics to succeed. What is an area that you want to talk about regarding your book that you really would like listeners here to hear that your book provides?
Well, I interviewed 11 really amazing people, and I talked to all of them about a huge assortment of topics. It's hard to pick just one. But I did talk to Jack Canfield about the law of attraction and why it doesn't work for everyone. And I alluded to some of this a little bit earlier, but I asked him, how come the law of attraction doesn't seem to work for everyone? Well, number one, people do have self-limiting beliefs around what they think is possible. If you want to make $100 million in your business next year and you've never come anywhere close to that, you don't really, really believe it can happen, then it won't. Number two, you're not operating on the same frequency of the thing that you're asking for. So if you're asking for something really amazing to happen in your life, but you are asking from a place of sadness and despair and hopelessness, then you're not operating on the same frequency. You have to be asking from a place of love, joy, gratitude, and happiness. Then you can attract that thing. And then number three, you have to take action, because the last 6 letters of attraction are ACTION, which incidentally spells action. You have to take action. You can't sit on a couch and meditate and hope that $1 million floats through the roof of your house onto your couch and into your lap without doing something in order to earn that. You have to be willing to give something commensurate with the value that you hope to receive in return.
Interesting. I didn't really think you have to have the same value going out to receive the same value in.
Well, I think you should. And here's the other interesting thing. Sometimes when you give value, the value you receive back isn't always going to happen in the same way that you gave. So if someone decides to give to charity, sometimes people might think, well, that means that money will float my way. Maybe, or maybe not. What might float your way instead is a connection to someone who can help you in your business. That person could help you. What might float your way instead is a connection to someone who might become your love interest. Perhaps that connection might be somebody who can connect you to somebody else that you really, really want to meet. But when you give energy to the universe, it will give back. And a lot of times it gives back way more than you give. Exactly.
And I love that you're bringing this up, because to me, people ask me to define success. And, so for most of us, we equate success with monetary success, right. Financial success. And I love that you brought up some of these other things that I always like to look at. Success is that we need to be grateful for all these wonderful things in our life. We're grateful for a roof over our head. Might sound ridiculous, but many people don't have roofs over their head. Heat, food, love, relationships, connections, a peace of mind. Somebody might have, health is another great abundance, success that you're able to achieve. Health is amazing. And that if we can be successful in our changing that mindset that we talked about, and I think that's really important, that we have to take personal responsibility for our mindset. We can't blame it on our husband that made us sad or angry, and now my mindset's this. No, we have to be responsible for allowing ourselves to choose, do we want to be angry or depressed or sad or angry, whatever it is. And I think that once we step in our own ownership of our beliefs, our thoughts, and then our action steps, then we can permeate that energy out where we're trying to create change. And without change, nothing changes in your life.
Right. Exactly.
And so tell us one of your, either a personal story, if you will, or one of the stories that maybe your advisors talked about that you thought was really pivotal or really could connect to an audience. We'd love to hear it.
A story that was pivotal in my journey?
No, in the sense that maybe an obstacle they or you occurred, had happened in your life, and how did you handle it to a successful end state, if you will?
That's a really great question. I think, oh gosh, I could go any number of ways. I had a situation where I owned a condo,
Mm-hmm.
and I ended up losing my job.
Mm-hmm.
And in order for me to afford to keep the house, I had to start renting it out as an Airbnb.
Mm-hmm.
And I would stay elsewhere. So I owned a home that I wasn't even living in, which might sound like a foreign idea to some people.
Right.
But I did. Sometimes I would sleep on people's couches. Sometimes I would sleep in my car. I've done that. But you do what you have to do. And I did this very successfully for several months. And then somebody found out, apparently the HOA had a rule about short-term rentals. They called them transient renters, and they didn't allow that. And so I was forced to cancel a whole bunch of future reservations because I got a cease and desist letter from my HOA, and I didn't know if they were bluffing or not. And I didn't have the money or the resources to fight them back. And I've had experience with this HOA before, and they were extremely petty. And I figured they actually would, enforce it if they thought they needed to. So I ended up having to sell the home because I couldn't afford to keep it anymore. And it sucked. But it did force me to regroup and assess what is it that I can actually do. I did end up getting another job after that, but I started ghostwriting not too long after that and got a couple of clients, and that helped. And so I was building that up while I was working part-time at a real estate office, doing some outbound marketing. And I was working on this book that just completed at the time too. So I was building my platform outside of work while I was still working. And it came to a point eventually where I was spending so much time doing my own thing that I didn't have enough time to do their thing. Mm-hmm. And they had an objection to that. So I was told to go succeed doing my thing. And I had a what just happened here moment the next day, a couple of times, but it has worked out very, very well. I mean, there are ups and downs still, but it has worked very, very well. I've not needed a job in probably close to 9 or 10 months. And I'm very happy about that, and got a couple of new clients jumping on real soon. So you take what is given to you. And Napoleon Hill says, within every seed of adversity is a seed of greater opportunity. I think I'm just paraphrasing that. But yeah, absolutely. And Tony Robbins likes to say, what's good about this? When you are in the middle of it and it doesn't feel good, ask, well, what's good about this? Well, nothing's good about this. No. What's good about this? I mean, force yourself to really think about that. Yeah. The average person will say, well, nothing's good about this. Just stop it. What's good about this? There's an answer.
Don't be the victim. Don't be the victim.
Yeah, and don't be the victim.
Yeah, and when you lost the last job because you were competing for time, if you will, on your venture versus their job, it allowed you to say, okay, fine, now I get to put 100% of my time and effort into this job instead of trying to do the tightrope walking, balancing everything and not really getting anywhere with secure footings and progress. So I love that. I think those are really two powerful statements and quotes that we all can definitely use in our life.
Yep.
And Absolutely. Thank you for that story, sharing your story.
You're welcome.
Because I think it really can resonate with anyone that's listening to this, that we all have moments in our life when there's trials and tribulations, struggles, obstacles, health issues, financial issues, whatever, and that we can choose to change that path and choose a different direction. And it all comes down to our ability to take action and believe in ourselves and create those goals and passions that we want to pursue.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, this has been great. Can you tell everyone where, I think you already said we can find your books at any bookstore around the world, as well as, of course, online. Amazon is typically our main online source. And again, why don't you hold up your book? It's Success Profiles, Conversation with High Achievers. So you're not just hearing from Brian Wright, but extrapolations from experts on various topics in his book that will help propel you towards your success. And so
Yeah.
I've read a good part of it. It's insightful, it's motivating, it's inspiring. So I encourage you all to
Good.
check out his book. And I think
Yeah.
that's great.
And some of the people that I interviewed, in case anyone's wondering, include people like Darren Hardy, formerly of Success Magazine, Jack Canfield, who wrote The Success Principles and also co-authored with Mark Victor Hansen on the Chicken Soup for the Soul series, Laurel Langmeyer, Sharon Lecter, Greg Reed, Dr. John DeMartini, who is in The Secret, Tom Ziegler, son of the legendary Zig Ziglar, Debbie Allen, Don Green, the executive director of the Napoleon Hill Foundation. Just so many amazing, amazing people. There were 11 of them. And it was hard to pick just 11, but I've had so many great interviews that there will be another edition coming, hopefully later this year.
That sounds good. And even to be able to converse with these people, to get on their venue as to speaking, having time to speak with them, it is just a task in its own. So congratulations on really being able to reach out to these influential people that really do impact people's lives.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. And do you have a website people can go to too, Brian?
Yep. BrianKWright.com. BRIAN, the letter K, WRIGHT. So BrianKWright.com. And people can learn more about my show, my magazine, which is called Success Profiles Magazine. People can learn about how I help people write their books through ghostwriting, or I coach people through people who want to write their own, and I will serve you as a sounding board and accountability partner, and I will coach you through that. So there's a lot of different ways that I can help you out, and I just want to help people get their message out to the world and believe in themselves.
Wonderful. Well, I really encourage everyone to check out Brian's website. Again, Brian K Wright with a WRIGHT.com. And there's so much there for everyone. So if you're at all interested, take that leap of faith, take an action step, and go explore and have a conversation with Brian and see if it's the right fit for you.
Yep. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for being here. And I wish you much success with your book, Brian. And thank you for taking time to be here with my audience.
Thank you, Cindy. It was really fun.
All right. Take care. Bye, everyone. We'll see you again another time. And remember, be inspired and empowered to create your success.